This is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. So happy to be joined today by my friend Michael Peveler, who is Vice President of Sales with AtlasIED. Topic of conversation is, of course, mass notification, aligning with our mass notification deep dive, which will be all over the March issue of CI plus SSI, as well as on commercialintegrator.com and securitysales.com throughout the month of March. Mass notification is certainly a category that AtlasIED is a leader in, and Michael is certainly a recognized expert as well in the category. So thank you, Michael, for joining us today and sharing some of your insights with us.
Dan, always my pleasure to meet with you and talk with you. I'm a big fan.
Thank you again, my friend. So why don't we just frame this up by talking about mass notification more generally? Give me a sense of whether this is a growing category, a growing opportunity for integrators. Is this something that's getting a lot more attention? I think it really deserves to.
Yeah, it is. It is growing quite a bit. We've seen substantial growth, like multi-hundred times over growth in the 6.5 years that I've been here with AtlasIED. The very unfortunate reality is that this market is growing because we have some serious issues in the country, really regarding violence, weapons, various other things, and this is not a anti, Second Amendment discussion. The reality is we've got enough events that owners of companies, superintendents and leaders of schools, they are reaching out at, healthcare. They're reaching out at a really growing rate, asking for help because they want to protect their employees. They want to protect their students, whatever the vertical in the application is. So it's growing quite a bit.
I mean, that level of growth is really astronomical. Quite honestly, it even exceeded my own expectation in terms of what you would say. And AtlasIED, of course, is a real partner to integrators and those in the channel that are trying to move into mass notification and serve that desperately important need. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of how AtlasIED straddles the worlds of AV and security and how your technology positions you very well for an opportunity like mass notification?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the value that we bring is obviously AtlasIED is a 90-year-old audio company. And that means that we don't just do a voice system. We really focus on the clarity of the audio, right? So we all kind of grew up with the peanuts and kind of announcements. And we've been in buildings where you've heard announcements that you're like, what did they say? And yet what we're finding is that vocal announcements play a massive and maybe one of the most important parts of a mass notification system, right? So, I go out and do presentations all the time and I talk to people and I go, is it fair to say that if I open the top of every building and school between, wherever we are in that city's downtown, is it fair to say that if I look down in that building that 40% of the people will have headphones on? And amazing, people are always like 40%, 50, 60, right? People have created their own space since COVID. They walk around with headphones on. I've got teenage sons. They walk around with their hoodie on. It's 110 degrees here in Texas, some days, and they've got their hoodie on. It's this privacy space. And I tell people all the time, it's not the person that's really aware and paying attention. It's the person that's in a meeting, that's in a Teams meeting, that's in a Zoom meeting, that's in a small conference room or meeting space, or is in a classroom, and they don't have any awareness as what's going on, or the person that's created their own privacy with their headphones and their space where they don't have awareness. And so we have to be intrusively loud at that point. We've got to be a volume overriding what's coming into their space, whether it's this kind of conferencing, which obviously our space is very involved in conferencing, meeting, collaboration, that space. And also in factories where people are wearing protective earphones and that kind of thing. So for Atlas, it allows us to take our audio product and because of the results, and it's a longer story than this call, but because of the results of 9/11, we built the first IP SIP-based voice system in 2005. We've progressed that significantly. We're on our third generation of product now. That product has both visual notification. So when I hear something, I can look up and see what's going on. And I've got signage that tells me that this is a shelter in place or a tornado warning or whatever. I've got flashers to get people's attention so that they have a reason to look up or look away. And then I've got audio to be really loud to make it really clear what's going on. And candidly, if it is an act of violence, to try to disturb the person creating that act of violence to try to lower their accuracy rate as much as possible. And we work with former SWAT team members on how we can actually impact that with volume and visual distractions and that kind of thing. So we think we fit in very, very well in that space. And obviously, as a company that's been built on the channel for years and years and years, we take the channel as a hugely important partner for us.
You know, that is very true. You really exemplify that partnership mentality among vendors. In the vein of that partnership mentality, for someone who is so well positioned, I mean, I know you have a personal history in education,
Yeah.
and of course, Atlas IED's long history. For integrators who are thinking about moving into mass notification or leveraging this technology, are there any tips, tricks, things to avoid? Is there a gut check that they need to kind of figure out, is this market for me? Or is this market really for everyone?
Yeah, I think the market more and more is for everyone. So I've said this for a while. The interesting thing is we walk into buildings a lot of times and we find that there is no mass communication system, mass notification system. And when you talk to the AV vendor that did the job, they go, well, it said mass notification. So we thought that was security. And then we go talk to the security vendor and they go, well, it was a paging station and speakers and amplifiers. We thought it was AV. It's like, wow. And then what ends up happening a lot of times, candidly, is the network company that's selling the switches and servers, they come in and swoop the business, right? And so what I tell every integrator I meet with is the first thing you should do is learn and see if it's a fit. The idea that today, and again, this is a sad reality of where we are, but the idea that today this is K-12, this is low margin, these are old 1980s Bell and PA systems. It's not true anymore, right? There's no way. I mean, there is significant margin. There are long-term security, auditing opportunities for contract for additional revenue, as well as selling software that has reoccurring revenue. So there's all kinds of opportunities. So the thing I would tell any partner is learn about it. Mass notification means a lot to people. It's a really big term. We focus on the audio with visual notification, but there's a lot of other parts, access security, cameras, all kinds of other things. And we touch on some of those and we interact with all of them, but it's really important to learn. So reach out to us. If you like to buy through distribution and you're on the security side, reach out to a partner like an ADI or a Wesco. I guarantee you they have good education on what the market's about. Learn about the market, see if you feel like it fits the customers you've already sold to, and then go back and find out if they even have fulfillment there, whether it's a factory, whether it's a warehouse, whether it's a business environment. Don't walk away from it because you think, oh, it's just K-12. It's just not true anymore.
Well, appropriately, you're a natural teacher, Michael, and I think that's one of the reasons Atlas ID has such a strong partnership
Mhm.
mentality and such a strategic alliance with your partners out in the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you educating me and especially our audience about mass notification and how Atlas ID can really be that indispensable partner in getting you there.
Yeah, Dan, thank you so much for the opportunity. And anybody that wants to get hold of us, www.atlasIED.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. So glad to help.
A pleasure as always to chat with Michael Peveler, Vice President of Sales with Atlas IED. My name is Dan Farisi, Group Editor, Commercial and Security with Emerald. As I say, please keep your eyes on the March issue of CI plus SSI for our expansive mass notification deep dive. We're also going to have all that mass notification coverage, including video Q&As just like this on securitysales.com and commercialintegrator.com throughout the month of March. Once again, Michael, thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time.